Hi friends, I'm Chelsea Grayson coming to you once again from the Office of the CEO. This is my show where I can help you be more successful in your current career, and I can also help you successfully transition to a new career. Today I'm going to be giving you my basic tutorial on how to professionalize yourself. And this goes for all sorts of folks out there, whether you're just starting out in corporate America, whether you're at a mid-level point in corporate America and you want to make sure and get to the next level of upper management. It even goes for those of you out there who have recently left your 9-to-5 and have started your own business, or who are just starting out as an entrepreneur. You absolutely, in all of the contexts that I just mentioned, need to have a certain level of professionalism for most audiences to take you seriously and for you to establish a certain level of credibility among those audiences, whether it's because you want to advance in your job, or whether it's because you want to attract talent to your company, whether you want folks to invest in your company, whether you want people to see you as a leader that they want to buy into. So let's get started. The basic theme here in terms of professionalizing yourself so that you can gain the credibility that you need is you really want to blend in. And I know that sounds weird because most of us are told, listen, you want to be unique and you want to stand out and you always want to be authentic to your true self. Those things are all true. But when you're professionalizing specifically, you want to think about blending in. You don't want to stand out because you have the most provocative or coolest attire. You don't want to stand out because you're speaking radically different from everyone else around you. You want to blend in those ways. And when you're talking about professionalism specifically, the ways that you want to stand out are by the quality of your work, by the level of your work output, right? Your work ethic. Those are the things that you want to have be distinguishing factors about you. Certainly not about the way that you hold yourself, the way that you dress, the way that you approach other people, the way that you present written work product. Those things you want to have be relatively standard so that people don't raise a red flag because they've noticed something off. So let's get started. Let me give you my basic tutorial on how to professionalize yourself. So for one thing, always be aware of your posture. How are you carrying yourself, right? So you don't want to be slouched over. You want to always be in a leader position, meaning that you are carrying yourself in a way where you're projecting forward energy, where you're projecting proactive energy. You're ready to go at a moment's notice, but you're also strong in your place. You are centered. You're confident. And this goes not just for how you're sitting there or for how you're standing there, but also for how you walk into a room, how you leave the room. Again, you don't need to walk into a room and be the loudest person and just present yourself in that way, but you certainly want to walk in carrying yourself in a way that says, I'm here for whatever this room is going to present me with. I can handle myself, and I'm going to show up in the best way possible. So posture is the very first thing that people are going to notice about you, and you want it to convey subtle power. You want it to convey ready energy and confidence. The second thing is attire. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time here other than to say it doesn't really matter what people say to you about, oh, we're very casual here, or, you don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable by dressing too formally. In my opinion, you can never dress formally enough. Always have yourself put together. When people say to you, it's casual Fridays around here, wear whatever. We're not wearing flip-flops to the office, right? We're not wearing shorts. This isn't our time where we're trying to catch a spouse, so we want to show up in a sexy way or some sort of provocative way. This isn't the time to show off the latest fashion trends. Those are all fun, and I give you all of that for your night times and for your weekends. But at work, or even on Zoom in a work context, we are professional. That doesn't mean you have to be totally buttoned up. It doesn't mean you're always in a suit and tie if you're a guy. It doesn't mean that you need to change your core personality. You can still convey who you are with your attire, but you need to be professional. So sometimes these are going to be clothes that aren't as comfortable as what you're wearing outside of the work context. They're not going to perfectly reflect the latest fashion trend or maybe exactly what you'd be wearing out there on a date or with your friends, on the weekends. You absolutely have to have a certain level of decorum, and I'm going to give you one other reason for this, right? I feel, and most leaders of businesses feel, that if you're dressed informally, that if you are dressed casually, that is going to be your work style. So you will work informally, you will work casually, i.e. you will not be working as hard, you're not going to be as centered, you're not going to be as dedicated to the mission. So if you look formal, you're going to convey this outward appearance and this message of, I'm focused, I'm working hard, I'm at work, and I understand that. This is different from playtime. So that's attire. Now listen, I ran 2 fashion companies, so I'm very happy to take it offline with anyone who wants to consult with me about certain outfits, who wants to talk to me about certain pieces of their wardrobe, and who wants to just touch base with me quickly on what should I be wearing on Zoom calls, for example. But I think that's too long of a conversation for today's tutorial. So let me get to the next point. So no cursing. Now, a lot of your leaders are going to drop F-bombs and all over the place, and they'll be cursing, and that's cool and that's funny and it's cute when they do it, and it humanizes them and personalizes them for you. You might be meeting with potential investors in your business, and your investors will be dropping, curse words, and they'll say, oh, sorry, I dropped the first F-bomb. It's always really funny, right? It's a joke. You shouldn't do that. You absolutely should not do that until you get to be in a position where you just don't care how someone might be judging you from the inside for having dropped that curse word. You just never know who's in your audience, right? And by the way, sometimes people drop curse words and don't realize they've done it. They just do it reflexively. So then when you drop one, they'll still be judging you because they didn't recognize that they themselves just did the same thing. Listen, there's no place in the business context or the work context in particular, if it's not your own company, to drop curse words or to drop lots of curse words. We have a huge dictionary, a huge vocabulary of all sorts of words that can convey all the same things that a curse word can, and just don't take the easy way out and drop the F-bomb or any other curse words. Now, this is a lesson that I continually teach to myself because I've been for sure a repeat offender in dropping curse words in places where maybe I shouldn't have, and I've regretted it every time, and I'm not sure how it has detracted from my credibility in those rooms, but I for sure want you guys to learn from my mistakes. So try to refrain from this stuff until you're sure you're in a place where you really just don't care if you're going to lose out on money or a promotion or what have you by dropping that curse word. And that's going to be a long time before you're in that space, right? So the next tip I wanted to give you also has to do with articulation, and this is the manner in which you're speaking. So how you are articulating your thoughts. So aside from the words, it's speak slowly, speak deliberately, lower your voice a couple of octaves so that you speak with more command, right? With an air of power. I definitely impart this lesson to women when I'm giving women in leadership seminars, but I think it applies across the board to men. The faster you speak, the less deliberately you speak. And when you speak very quickly, it'll be more difficult for you to pick the right words. So you might be stumbling over your words a little bit. The less credibility you'll have with your audience. If you speak slowly and deliberately, your audience will believe that every word has meaning and they need to hang on the meaning of each of those words. So speak more slowly. The next tip, write well. And this is just a matter of if you don't have it innately and you really need to do soul searching and be honest with yourself, then you need to go out and take some seminars. You need to not just write well and understand how to establish a classic paragraph, right? But you also need to understand in each context, what is the appropriate format to use? Is an email appropriate here? Is it appropriate here to have an email with an attached memo? Is it just a memo that needs to go hard copy to someone? Is this a full-blown report and presentation that I need to put together? And then without getting too deep into this one, because it's a whole other tutorial in and of itself, regardless what format you're using, always remember to put an executive summary at the front. So even if it's just an email, put a little executive summary at the front. Could be a sentence, it could be 4 sentences, so that if the reader is extremely busy, they get the gist of what you have to say and they can go back and take a look at the longer explanation later on, and then always put a conclusion at the bottom. A lot of people are just really busy and they're only going to look at those bookends, and they know the detail is there for them when they actually need to action on whatever it is that you recommended in whatever it is that you sent to them. So the next tip I can give you is use formal language. Again, this is also about language and articulation and writing. So just a few quick examples, right? I absolutely hate it in a business context when I ask a question and someone responds, yeah or nope, right? I mean, we have yes, we have no, We are in a different context than just you're texting with your friends or messaging with friends on social media. This is work. This is a professional setting. We need to give it the respect that it deserves. Let's use formal language. Let's check spelling. Let's spell things completely out, right? Instead of please spelled PLS, write out the whole word. Again, let's put some respect on the business context. We are here to make money. And the more formal and disciplined you are much more likely to be highly focused on that one goal, which is always the goal of business, to make more money, right? And that's the image that you'll be conveying if you write and speak in a more formal way, rather than just using shortenings for words, or spelling things in cute ways. Like instead of the word through, THROUGH, you write THRU. Those sorts of things, right? Okay, so the next tip is don't text people unless your boss, so somebody who is superior to you, has said, I prefer to communicate via text. Do not lead off with text. There's no capture of the messages and the data that is conveyed in a text. At some point, it will disappear. You can't print out a text. You can't use it later on if you need a record of what happened, right? People are less likely to go back to it. It's less formal, again, back to the formality of it, so people don't take it as seriously. It seems more flighty. Sure, it's a much quicker way to get someone's attention, so the only time I would ever suggest using it if someone isn't responding to your voicemail, isn't responding to your email, shoot them a quick text and say, did you get my email? But a text is not a place to convey serious, deep information. That is for email, that is for in-person meeting, that is for a phone call or a Zoom call. So no text until it's indicated that, hey, I actually prefer to communicate in text, and you can feel safe doing that here. So the next tip I'll give you is corporate functions, social functions, right? So we've all been invited to the cocktail party, the corporate retreat, the after hours party in the office. Let's all go meet at a bar. Nothing good ever happens at a social corporate function after 9 p.m. Check me on this. Nothing good ever happens. No business is conducted. You're not going to miss out on anything. The only thing that happens is that now people have been drinking for a while. They're going to get more drunk and probably act out. So I made a strict rule for myself early on that at 9 p.m., no matter where I was at a corporate function, I would hand my cocktail to somebody who mattered, somebody who might be checking for me, and I would say, will you hold this for a sec, or will you just watch this for a second? I'm going to put it here. I'm going to run to the bathroom. And then I would ghost. Now, they would never check back for me. They would assume I went to the bathroom and just came back in and grabbed another cocktail from the bar and was talking to someone else. They don't remember that I didn't come back in. They just remember that I was there. I checked in with them and I went to the bathroom. That's that. Now, I don't get caught up in any of the shenanigans that happen in late hours. I haven't had too much to drink. By the way, this also allows me to get up and be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for tomorrow's events. There's always a meeting the next day or a panel or some sort of group activity, whatever it is. I won't be the one who's hungover, and I will be functioning on 100%, whereas other people who stayed later and had more to drink are going to be embarrassed about whatever it is they did. They'll be hungover, and they will not be at 100% capacity. So ghost at 9 p.m. and do it in that way. Don't say goodbye, I'm out, because that makes you look like a party pooper and some people might judge. Just say, I'll be right back, I'm going to the bathroom. That's it. Nobody will ever check on you. So the final tip that I wanted to leave you with today is sort of from the before times, right? The before COVID times. And that's, if we ever get back to the place where we have handshakes, and I really don't know if we are going to, practice your handshake. I've said this in previous episodes, but for those who are new to the program, I wanted to reinforce to you, it's a full, whole handshake. It's your entire hand in that person's entire hand. And it's firm and strong. And it's not the half handshake. If anyone gives you the half handshake, which I call the Limp Fish, and that's usually given by men to women, but it just usually is, you say, let's redo that. We can do better than that handshake, and give them the full handshake. Your handshake with someone will help them understand what they're about to encounter, that you are alpha, that you are serious, and you should be taken very seriously. It will establish the tone for the rest of your interaction that day and for the rest of your relationship. Everything is in the handshake when we used to have the handshakes, and I'll be really interested in seeing how people replace the handshake if it never really comes back. I think it might have a lot to do with that posture stuff we talked about at the very beginning of this episode. In any case, so those are my basic tips for how to professionalize yourself and gain more credibility. Again, whether you're in your 9 to 5, whether you're looking to advance in your 9 to 5, or whether you're talking about running your own business and you need to establish credibility in a room full of, let's just say, potential investors. I'd be curious to hear your comments on this episode, so please go ahead and drop me a note if you have anything to suggest or add. And be sure and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss future episodes. And I will see you next time from the Office of the CEO.